Hi, folks, and welcome. This is Justin Machell, CEO of Highland Ag Solutions, and welcome to Cream of the Crop podcast. I'm joined today by Tara Stroud, our Director of Customer Success, and excited to have her on board with us here today. Tara, welcome to the studio.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
All right. We're going to talk about your decision to join Highland and what you've been doing the first 6 months while you've been here. But first of all, tell our viewers a little bit about yourself and your background.
Awesome. All right. Well, I am a mother of 5, and I work. I'm the Director of Customer Success here, and I joined the company in January of this year. And I previously worked for 8 years for an auditing company. And just getting to work with food safety and seeing my clients day to day and their journey to reach certification and all of the different hoops that they had to jump through really just made me want to find a different way to help them, a more involved way to help make the process easier, to get them away from these gigantic binders. I'd go visit my clients and they'd have binders and binders, these huge bookshelves of binders. And as they go through the audit, they're trying to rush through and find pages and hoping that the logs are filled out correctly. And I had been, I'd known of Highland for years, and I'd worked with you guys, and I knew lots of our clients who used Highland. And I felt like I could be more of an asset to the industry by making the switch. And I felt like I could be more an asset to my friends, my growers, the community by making the switch to the Highland Hub and to this company.
Well, let's talk about your first 6 months here. One of the things that stands out to me is the team that you built. And I mean, you've just got a roster of superstars over there. Talk a little bit about what your department does, what your team does on a day in, day out basis, and what you've been able to accomplish over the last several months.
Absolutely. So when I came in, I shook things up a bit. I know that it's not the normal business model to have a combined sales and service team, but I wanted us to have a more personalized experience with growers. And so by taking out instead of having a separate salesperson who then sells to the, or who transfers it, to the service department, and the two sometimes don't always communicate effectively, or sometimes the salesperson has, done this great job, but then something gets lost in communication to the next department. We've completely restructured that to make it a sales experience, to make it a customer experience. The person that they talk to on day one is going to be their go-to forever. Mm-hmm. That person sees them from beginning to end for their entire time with us. And so if at any time that they have a question, a concern, something comes up, that account manager knows them like the back of their hand. They know them better than they know them. They know their needs. They understand what their buyers' requirements are. They understand how to help guide them to be successful, not just on audit day, but to build a more strong food safety and compliance culture.
Well, this industry is all about relationships, right?
Exactly.
And that's what we're trying to do here is forge those relationships and have that person on speed dial that they can reach out to. We're going to hold our customers' hand step by step all the way through the process, and it's the relationship business, really, at the end of the day, right?
Absolutely.
Yep. Being in tune with your customers, being plugged into them, allows us to figure out what we need to work on next, right? It helps us prioritize our business and allows us to deliver value, right? One of the sayings that I always say around here at Highland is I never want to be another cost of doing business for our customers. Mm-hmm. I always want to provide value and ensure that they get that every day that they're using our system. Talk a little bit about what we offer to our customers. What is this compliance solution? How is there value for a grower? And is it easy to use? Is it easy to implement for them?
Absolutely. When I first joined, you guys already had so many great tools available with the food, the FS365, which is our food safety portion of the software, with the Crop IQ, which when I came on, we were just transitioning to version 2.0, which mm-hmm. I absolutely love because it makes it so much easier to get those spray applications into the system. and it keeps from any sort of backlogs happening. You know, I don't need people sitting there buried in paperwork trying to catch up. But things like the supplier portal, the lab tools, I mean, I could go on and on about already the existing tools that were in the system when I joined. But now, just as we progress and just the relationships that we've been building with the different scheme owners to be able to supply additional services to our clients, and without that being at an additional cost, this is something that we're offering to our clients to help them to be better at what they're doing. You know, our newest additions, of course, is our partnership with EFI to now offer the EFI scheme. You know, working with the IPM Institute of North America to implement the sustainability standard, which is a new audit scheme, which can be either coupled with a Primus GFS audit or standalone. And just being able to meet those needs for not just food safety. We're not just food safety anymore. We are everything. We want to be your go-to, whether it be compliance, whether it be a private buyer audit. You know, if you have a certain restaurant or retailer that you're supplying to and you need to do an audit for them, guess what? We program those into the system too. We literally can handle it all to make the job easier for you. And that's what I love.
Right. It's so much more than just food safety, so much more than just crop management. A grower may say, wow, that's a lot, Tara. Is this program right for me? Is this meant for the bigger organizations, the enterprise organizations, or are there other small growers, or there medium-sized growers? You know, who's the target audience here for the software?
The target audience are my people. And I mean all of you, because everybody, like, I love from our smallest small growers who have just even 3 to 5 acre farms to our gigantic, huge wholesalers and co-ops. The system is meant for you. Like I said, you were assigned, it doesn't matter how small or how big, you're assigned your account manager, and they walk you through, and we fine tune the process to whatever matches you the best, whatever your needs are, whatever your buyer requirements are, to make sure that we're getting you to the finish line.
So I'm not very tech savvy. I'm putting my grower hat on here for a second, right? I might not be very tech savvy. I may have some folks in my organization that know how to do all this stuff, but can I easily use this type of a system?
Oh, absolutely.
I drive around my F-150. I got my 3-ring binder over there, right? Or I got my notepad, and that's my office, right? So how is it easy to transition to that? Is this something that I could pick up and use if I'm just a small grower?
Oh, absolutely. One, because if you're out in the field, you can be on your phone, your tablet anyways. But two, our team is, we provide training. 4 hours normally is the amount of training that we do, but it's fine-tuned. If you need more training, we help you with that. If you need less training, we help you with that. What we do is we just make sure that whatever you need to be able to successfully implement the software in all aspects of your particular needs are met. Because one grower who needs just spray management and crop records, maybe he doesn't need to know about all the other tools. Not yet. They're going to grow. But for now, we're going to be able to meet his needs. For our huge, large, customers, our bigger customers, they're going to need to know the ins and outs of everything, and it's going to be a very intensive process, and we're going to be right there holding their hand every single step of the way.
Well, so it's very scalable.
Absolutely.
So the small mom and pops can use it all the way up to large corporate enterprise, yes. And I assume that we've got customers, large and small today.
Yes,
right?
we do.
Okay. So, and you mentioned that as you grow, you're going to need more. You're going to need more tools to more effectively manage your business. We've got a tool coming out here very soon called the Compliance Tracker. Tell our listeners a little bit about what's coming out here.
I'm very excited about the Compliance Tracker. So the Compliance Tracker is going to be ideal for consultants. It's going to be ideal for those large corporations. It's going to be ideal for wholesalers. It's going to be really good for the co-ops. And the reason is because, let's use a consultant, for example. Well, that's only one person trying to oversee hundreds of customers, and they're pretty much all in season at the same time, depending on where you live. If you're a consultant in Georgia, well, all your guys are going to go into season at the same exact time, and there's just only one of you. The Compliance Tracker gives you a way to be able to track and make sure that all of your clients are staying on top of what they need to do to stay compliant with just a simple dashboard. A dashboard where they can easily access and see who's struggling, who needs help, or maybe who's right on the ball. Because we know that there's some of those guys who, like, you don't even need to tell them twice. They're getting those logs signed. They're getting everything in the system immediately. Others do need a little bit more nudge. And that's exactly what the compliance tracker does. It gives the consultant an easy to read site and dashboard that shows all of their clients or their suppliers, if we're talking about a wholesaler or a co-op. And it lists them in order of who's going to need a little bit more help than others this year. And that way they can easily go through, click, nudge them, if you want to say, give them that way they know where to place more energy. And they don't just have to live in their car for the season, because that's what they end up doing. During the season, they end up pretty much living in their car. You get in the back of their car, they got printers, they got binders, they've got scanners, and I don't want that. I don't want that for our consultants anymore. This is a tool built to make not only the growers' lives easier, to make the consultants' lives easier.
I was just going to say that early on when we were building this software, we're talking with growers, we're talking with distributors, markers, packers, and we were really focused on them. But then we quickly started to realize there's a whole industry, there's a whole service industry around the grower, right? From food safety consultants to crop advisors, crop scouts, chemical salespeople. This tool can be used, the hub can be used for any of those folks, and the compliance tracker is eventually going to be able to incorporate a workflow management for all of those as well, right?
Exactly.
So we're starting with food safety today because that's the most applicable right out the gate, that and sustainability, right? But eventually we'll be able to, the compliance tracker will be very relevant for them. So I think about a food safety consultant, and they only have so many hours of the day, right? They've got limited capacity. If it's just one, if they hire people, they can obviously expand their business. But this is going to be a tool that really allows them to efficiently manage their workflows and allow them to scale their business too, more than what they have today, right?
Absolutely. And that way, maybe they don't have to hire on. Maybe they can just keep it with just them, unless instead of having to keep hire on more assistants or more people to help them regionally as they continue to grow, they can just rely on the compliance tracker. While they're in Georgia, they can see how their clients in New Jersey are doing. The same goes for, we have one consultant in particular, while they're in Miami, they could be seeing what's going on in BC, Vancouver area, to know what's going on with their blueberry growers. And they never have to jump on a plane. They get everything done right then. Yep.
When you need to be 3 places at one time.
Exactly.
Right. And that's like every food safety consultant's life, right? You got to be in multiple places at one time. Or just the big corporate, the big enterprise farming operations of a food safety manager that's got 300 farming suppliers. You need to be at a lot of places at one time. Well, the hub allows you to do that. The compliance tracker allows you to have that 30,000-foot view of everything that's going on in your operation, know where your trouble points are, know where you're doing really well, and allow you to have that food safety discipline, have that sustainability discipline, right?
I think that looking back on my previous experience, I got to see a lot where in those big corporations, a lot of times when they were dealing with their outside growers, they didn't know there was a problem until the audit had already occurred. Right. And then we're all scrambling. Corrective actions are way, the non-conformances are too many to count. The corrective actions are overwhelming. And these are things that if with use of the compliance tracker that we could catch well before they become a problem. They'll know that their outside growers are audit ready at any given moment.
Yep.
And with unannounced audits becoming more and more prevalent, that's exactly what they need.
Well, and to that point, unannounced audits, your food safety consultant's not going to be able to be there.
No.
Right? Your food safety manager's not going to be able to be on site at whatever farm is getting an unannounced audit. And it's the difference between being reactive versus being proactive, right? And that totally changes the game when you're trying to manage your business effectively, right? The more you can proactively deal with issues and situations, the much farther down the road you're going to be in managing a successful business.
Absolutely.
And the compliance tracker is going to be able to facilitate being proactive, and we're just totally excited about that. So that's coming out at the end of this sprint. So it's going to be the middle of August that we're going to release that. And talk about the rollout there. We're going to be looking at consultants first and enterprise companies, and talk about who's a good fit there and what the rollout plan is.
Well, honestly, any of those that we've already discussed are going to be really good focuses for that. I think, in the beginning, I want to focus a little bit more on both. Because those first 6 months are all about I just want to eat up all the feedback they can feed me. I just want all the feedback. So we want to get as many consultants and as many of these large corporations on board as we can to just let them see it. Let them experience it. Let them know what full visibility looks like. Because this is something they've never had before. They go home at night and they worry that one grower that they know doesn't keep up with their records, they worry about that guy. Is he going to be ready? I can't be at his house every single day.
Right.
And so instead they're just over there, biting their fingernails, waiting for the audit day, praying, crossing their fingers that they pass. That doesn't have to be the way it works anymore. Right. And so what we're going to do is we're going to then be able to fine tune even further to make the tracker more of what they want and what they need.
Absolutely.
And I'm just excited to watch it grow and blossom because it's already such a great system that is going to completely change the industry once it's released. And then with even more fine tuning, depending on how we can better serve each of the different sectors who are going to utilize the program, it's just going to be mind blowing. Like I said, it's just something that the industry has needed for a long time. I understand that every day is supposed to be audit day, but any of us in the industry knows that not everybody does what they need to do to act like every day is audit day.
Well, and like you said, they haven't had these kind of tools available to them before, right?
Exactly.
And our system, I want to talk about this point here for a second. It's not just another glorified Dropbox either. Talk about how our system, it's easy to use. The documents are right there. Everything is linked to the audit question. It's all interactive. It's just so easy. It's intuitive. It's not going to a Dropbox or a Google Drive and trying to find any of these documents and where does this go, where is that. That's almost as bad as having all your 3-ring binders out on the table, right? So talk about what we do that's a little different there than anybody else in the industry.
So when a client or when a person first signs up with us, they send us all of their documents, SOPs, logs, all of that. We enter all of that data into the system. We don't enter it, we digitize it. We digitize those logs to the way that best fits how they will use the logs, whether they be daily, as needed, monthly, etc. And then all of those get tied into their manual. And the manual goes through step by step and is linked per question depending on what scheme they choose. And we have them all, when I tell you that. Even if you get on our site and you go to search for one and it's not there, it's more than likely because there is a copyright in place where we have to give you access to it in a different kind of way. You have to prove that you are allowed to see that kind of audit. But we have them all. We have, Global Gap, EFI, Canada Gap, Primus GFS, whatever scheme fits you. And so then you just click your scheme. It automatically takes you through each question and expectations. We help you to link your documents, your SOPs and logs to that exact question. So that way when it comes audit time, we use our auditor access tool. We send it to the auditor. The auditor gets a link. It doesn't give the auditor access to everything. It gives the auditor access to exactly what that auditor needs, which is going to be that manual for that farmer facility or collection and thereof that we're getting audited. And it gives them just the records that pertain to just that. And having that assurance, that it's not everything just dumped into a 3-ring or, into a Dropbox. Because guess how the auditor views it? The same way that you did. The auditor sees it question by question. They see, each of your documents that you've linked to every single question. They're able to view your internal audits, which are scored the exact same way, question by question, nice, easy to read, easy to use. And so that way, by the time the audit day comes, the auditor's already reviewed it all. And you go into the audit feeling reassured that you're good. You're going to, everything that you needed to do, you kept your due diligence. And with the help of your account manager at Highland, you're going to do fine.
And it cuts the audit time dramatically,
Absolutely.
right? Because he's able to do that. We usually send that about a week or so, right? Or our customers send that about a week or so.
The customers can decide
before.
how long they would like to give the auditor access, and depending upon, of course, how many operations they have. If you've got 4 packing houses and 15 farms, you'll probably give them a little bit more time. But if not, if you're a smaller guy, you just give them like a couple days access, whatever usually works between the auditor and the customer, and then they just send them the link.
Just as easy as that.
Yeah.
And let's talk about data security and privacy for a second. So we have a lot of systems in place for that. So the growers own their own data. We're not in the business of selling data. We have Microsoft Azure is the cloud that we work in. It's military grade, security. But you can feel confident knowing that the growers' data is safe, distributors' data are safe, packing house data is safe. So in terms of making sure that none of your competitors see it or anything like that, we have those assurances in place, and we built quite a following here in the last several years, and folks are confident that their data is not going to get leaked out anywhere. Everybody seems to have a better way of farming. They get their trade secrets and all that. A lot of times it's similar to everybody else, but we understand that everybody's unique and everybody wants their data protected. So that's a big thing that we take very seriously here at Highland is data privacy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you mentioned sustainability a few minutes ago, and that we partnered with EFI, with IPM Institute. Let's talk about what is the value of having the sustainability schemes in the system for our customers, for our growers. What value do they get out of that?
Well, one, we definitely don't ever want to nickel and dime our users. So that is why for any of our users who are on the hub or any of our new clients that come on, it is not an additional cost to use those schemes. They're just automatically included as part of your food safety and compliance, which I'm really, really happy with. And that was one of the things I always loved about Highland is that we don't nickel and dime people over every single little thing. Yep. But sustainability is coming. The requirements are coming. There's no getting around it. Whether it be Walmart, Cisco, all of the big suppliers or buyers, are all making it mandatory. If not now, by 2025, you have to have a plan in place. And what's been so difficult is that a lot of these companies they hear the word audit and they assign it to the food safety person. They're like, hey, this is yours. Not realizing that a sustainability audit encompasses so much more than just food safety. In fact, sometimes it even contradicts food safety. So with adding these tools into the hub is going to help this food safety person who's already knowledgeable in how to use the hub, how to write their SOPs, how to write logs, and just to give them those extra tools that they need to be able to build the plan, to build a sustainability plan. They're not asking you to be sustainable overnight. They're not saying
it's a process.
They're saying we need to see progress. We need you to build a sustainability plan. We need you to collect data. Over time, we want to see quantitative results of how over time you're improving, your sustainability and reducing your greenhouse footprint. And by not only implementing these schemes in the system, but just training our teams on how to help answer questions and training our team into how to guide our users to the right resources, we're going to get them there. Yes, it's new to all of us.
And it's going to continue to evolve.
And it's going to continue to get bigger and bigger. And there's going to be no getting away from it. It doesn't matter what scheme you want to call on. There's plenty of them to choose from. They're coming. And we want to make sure that we're proactive in not leaving any of our clients wondering, how do I proceed from here? They're going to know exactly what to do because we already have the tools available to start helping them get that plan put together.
And it's part of our strategy, aligning with all of these companies, right? EFI, IPM, aligning with all the food safety organizations as well. We want to be open to all of that because we want to support any of those schemes. We want to support any of those organizations in furthering their mission. And if you're a grower, you can use either one of them, right? But we've got those options available. We want to help support them, but we want to help support the grower in achieving and reaching their potential within sustainability with food safety, right? And it's exciting to see the movement start to come. We're here, we're ready for it. We've got the tools in place. We're going to continue to evolve. We continue to get better every day. I'm not saying we're perfect by any means, but we want to put the best tools out there as possible to help support these cultures of sustainability, of food safety. What's your vision for sustainability going forward in the future within the hub, and what we're going to do to continue to support our clients?
So moving forward, my on my to-do list of things is, as I learn more about the sustainability requirements, no matter what scheme you look at, there's not a whole lot of calculation resources available in the industry right now for fresh fruit and vegetable growers. And so we want to make those tools. It's hard to calculate your green gas footprint when all of the calculators that you can find online are based on products that have nothing to do with how our industry works. And so I want tools. We're planning for tools that have to do with waste and recycling, tools for soil health, tools for water usage, for water management, for protecting the bees always, because that's like one of the number one things they always bring. We've got to protect our pollinators, and just building customized tools to help them be able to not only have the data, but to be able to use the data to calculate, to be able to say, this is where I was, this is where I am. We have made vast improvements by using these tools and by using these calculations. We're able to then prove those. And so those are some of the things that our users and new clients will see coming.
Well, and our customers will have a story to tell, right? And that's the value. I always want to go back to that value, right? Not just another cost doing business. So the value for them is we have a story to tell now to our retail partners. Listen, here's the investment we're making. Here's the discipline that we put in place for this. Here's real results, right? We've been proactive. Here are real results. And wouldn't you want to align with a company that's doing these kind of things because you're going to minimize your risk? From a food safety perspective, you're dealing with a company that takes sustainability seriously. So all the dollars that they've invested in that, you hope will create value, enterprise value with their customers, with the retailers, right?
Yes.
Yep. And that's what we're trying to get out here. So, the hub does a fantastic job with food safety, with sustainability. Let's talk a little bit before we wrap up about the Crop IQ side too. We launched version 2. We're in another rewrite now to make the system even more powerful. But some of the things in Crop IQ also contribute towards food safety, right? So what are some of those things that, if you're using the entirety of the hub, what you're doing on the farm, what things on the farm impact your sustainability records?
So that's
metrics.
By using our Crop IQ 2.0 system and the mapping and all the other tools that it comes with, we have broken it down. Your inventory can not only, we have so finely tuned, you input bits of information about how many nozzle sprayers you have and how much acreage it is, and by inputting all of these little tidbits of information telling how you spray or what form you're spraying with, we're able to give you actual number results of how much of each chemical you're using. We also have the REI and PHI, what I like to call stop blocker. So it makes sure that once you've done sprays, once you've done chemical applications, that if someone tries to go out and complete any of your harvest logs or any of your field logs on those particular sites that have been applied recently, that it's going to give you a pop-up that says, hey, you're not allowed to do that. Using all of those tools, not to mention the data that it collects every single time that you do a spray or any sort of application, using all of that data it collects feeds right into the sustainability standards for not only soil health, but also for pest management and all of the IPM issues sections that are in there. It covers them all.
Well, and there's no other software that I know. You just mentioned a really good point. If you have a REI, PHI situation on your farm, and a crew leader tries to come in and do that pre-harvest for them, and you're inside those limitations. Our software is one of the only ones that I know of that's integrated. We've integrated the farm to food safety, to sustainability, and put in those prevention points to make sure that you don't go in and harvest a farm that is still under those implications.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? So,
and it's really nice too, because it doesn't matter, even if a farmer really isn't that sure about the certain chemicals that they're using right now and how it fits into their sustainability program. Within our database, not only does it give you all of that information, but every single chemical in our database automatically loads all of their labels, whether it's their SDS label, their organic label, so you know what you're using. And that way you can even, in our system, you can search by product, and then you can also search, of course we have where you can search by EPA number
right.
or product name, but on the new version, we also have where you can just search by your commodity, and then you can search by whatever the pest is.
Mm-hmm. And your state that you're in. Yep.
And so by using that information, you can actually go through and say, okay, I'm looking for a more sustainable product to use in placement of the one that I'm currently using. Mm-hmm. And by using these new search tools within the new Crop IQ, you can easily go through the list and find one that is more closer to what you need to be using than what you might be using right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, it creates a dialogue point, right? So you're going to call up your chemical sales guy and have that conversation, right? But the hub helped facilitate that conversation.
Exactly.
Yep. And let's talk about scouting reports too. We just recently had a tweak with how we're going to do scouting reports for our customers, and so if you're working with an advisor, they can go in and let's talk about permissions to go along with this, right? Because you have your network of people. The farmer can't be everywhere at the same time, so you rely on your network of scouts and advisors and all that. So through permissions, they can actually give them a user account for their company, and then they can go in and create these scouting reports, and they can go in and do things in the business that help contribute back to the farmer. Right? Talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely, and of course, scouting reports is a big deal, at least when we're talking about the sustainability standard, mm-hmm. as that's for their scheme. Scouting reports are something that they mentioned quite a few times, and we started looking at the way that we had ours set up, and we decided that we're actually going to take it a little bit different way now, but just simplified. We want to make it as easy as possible. Like we said earlier, not mm-hmm. everybody's super tech savvy, and so just making it where they can go in and easily within a few minutes create a digitized scouting report. As soon as they finish it, it goes straight back to the food safety manager or whoever is chosen based on their permissions mm-hmm. for their review to know what to do. Whether it's going to, whoever holds their spray applicator license or whoever handles that portion of the farm, they'll be able to get access to their scouting reports right then.
Mm-hmm. And being proactive again.
Yes, and it keeps records of all of them. So that way over time, again, we can show that we have reduced our usage, mm-hmm. reduce our usage of pesticides or change the chemicals that we're using, and we'll be able to then prove all that because of the fact that the whole time that you were doing the same things that you're doing right now, the hub's been keeping record of it.
And you can actually get credit for doing all these things.
Yes.
Well, so talk about reporting, right? So the hub has some pretty robust reporting tools in there where you're able to, I need to query and see where we're at with this chemical and see where we're at with this. I need to see what my cost is by farm or by block, right? So the hub has some pretty robust reporting functions too.
We do. So I like on the new tools, of course, we can run a lot more minimal reports now than we used to. So it used to be you were either getting all the report or you were getting none of the report. Mm-hmm. Now you can go through and specifically request what exact tidbits of information that you need to load. Let's say because the county contacts you and requests chemical records. We can actually go through and fine tune exactly what we're sending per season, per commodity, per spray applicator, per day, mm-hmm. per chemical. And you can base it. There's so many different options. And then the inventory tool, the new inventory tool is it's just the bee's knees. I think it's because we were talking about pollinators, but I love it because you can put in all of your chemical inventory. Whether you have 50 storage locations, you can tell exactly where you're storing all of your inventory. You also have the option to put in how much it costs you each time you purchase that inventory. So every single time you're purchasing a chemical, you then can input your cost. And as you put in each application record, it then deducts that cost. So that way you can see over time many things, not just how much you're spending on these chemicals. You can see if maybe you need to recalibrate your sprayers. You know, anything. There's so much information that can be got. It also helps you to see that maybe someone could be selling it to you cheaper. You start to look over time and you're like, wait a minute. The last time we bought this, we got this for way cheaper per pound than we're getting it this time.
Well, it's that accountability. Well, again, it just, the hub helps facilitate proper management of your business. And that's what we want to get back to is, you know, it's not gonna change supply and demand. It's not gonna change how the industry works. But the joy that I get and the satisfaction that I get, and I'm sure your team gets it as well, when you see a grower be able to take and regain control of their business, right, and become profitable. You know, I'm not saying that we're gonna make the operation profitable, but when they can regain control of it and they don't feel like they're chasing a tiger by the tail the whole time,
Absolutely.
right? That's huge for us. And then on the enterprise side, to be able to see just the amount of value we're able to deliver to that food safety manager, that sustainability team. They don't have to be at 10 places at one time. They can effectively manage their operation, streamline their workflows. I mean, there's just so many benefits along the way there that, like I said, I'm sure your team just revels in it every day.
Oh, we do. I'm so lucky. My team is amazing, and I have never been so blessed to have such a customer-centric team, and they take their relationships with their customers very seriously, and they always make them number one. And honestly, that's how business should be. But I love it. I love it that when you call us, you get us.
You get a human.
You get, and you know who they are, and they know who you are, and
That's
they
right.
knew that it was your grandma's birthday last week, and the software is so important, but coupled with that just over-the-top customer service from beginning to end, never ending, honestly, because you get those quarterly calls from your service coordinator, from your account manager. So if you go quiet on us for a while, we'll make sure nothing's going on, like, hey, I haven't heard from you in a little bit. Are you doing okay? But they're there anytime that the customer needs them. Anytime the customer needs them, to make sure that they are getting the best experience possible.
And we like to, every now and then, we like to send our account managers out to actually go see our customers. We go to trade shows. So we try to be as available as possible to the industry. We want you to reach out to us if you're not doing business with us today. You can find us at highlandhasit.com, right? What are some other ways they can reach out and engage your team?
Oh, absolutely. So they can always get on our website at highlandhasit.com, or they can always give us a call at 863-844-4263.
Well, Tara, thanks for joining me here today. This has been great. We're going to do more of this as we have more features, more releases, more things coming down the pipeline. We've got the IFPA coming up in October. We're getting geared up. We're real excited about that. We've got some new things we're going to talk about there. But we want to do more of this, more content-driven podcast here for our company, and just excited to have you on board, your team, and everything that you're doing. So thanks for joining me here today.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
All right, great.